Hey guys, and welcome to another Factorio Friday Facts discussion number 254. No research queue for you. And I am joined by Scarhoof again.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, and welcome back from not being here last week. Glad you made it through.
Yes, I survived.
Yes, barely. I'm not sure I'll survive this.
Well, they're talking, that first line, they're talking about air conditioning. I mean, that's just going to irritate everybody, right?
Oh, yeah. It's funny, actually, in the forum comments, most people just wished that their air conditioning would fail on them. Like, that was most people's comments. They were so upset by this. They're just like, may your air conditioning fail on you.
Wow.
So, they're appreciating that new offices have proper air conditioning. Great.
Is that the new way of hexing people?
Yeah.
Right? Instead of wishing warts or something like that on someone, you just wish that their air conditioning will go out.
Yeah, I mean, in the summer, man, I'd rather have warts than no air conditioning.
Yeah, true. Hey, here in Phoenix, it is 110 degrees right now, and I think it was a week and a half ago, we were hitting 116.
Oh my god.
It's been miserable here.
I can imagine. So, yeah. I mean, the title pretty much says it. I'll read through this just so we can read what he says. This is by Corex. The research queue was one of the planned and implemented features for 017. The player could queue up to 5 technologies so the research would flow better. The weird thing about this feature is that it sounds better on paper than in reality. Well, says him. I was playing with the research queue for the first time when I was testing the new tutorial campaign, and I noticed a weird thing about it. As I just queued all 5 possible technologies in the first mission, I had no idea what and when was unlocked, so I was not taking advantage of these things for quite some time. Vaclav played a lot of normal free-play games with the queue, and he also supported me that the feature in reality doesn't make the experience better. After that, we started to reconsider the feature. The breakdown is this. So cons. Newly unlocked recipes might be overlooked. It is solvable by some kind of pop-up, but is far from perfect. It removes the joy of looking at the result of the research and picking a new thing that will be next one to do. It adds to the feeling of just going through a to-do list without having much to say about it. The queue has to be changed a lot as priorities change. Pros, it feels appropriate in some situations, like finishing all remaining green science I don't care about, and it feels okay to queue the repeating upgrade research at times, but as the cost grows quite fast, usually it becomes less and less of a problem. So overall, deciding to remove this feature on the condition that I have to say, I, Kovacs, personally killed it. I am to blame. Yeah, yar. For me, this is on the level of the bots and belts thing that happened a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I have very strong opinions about some of this stuff, and I'm going to try to rein myself in. And I want to hear your thoughts too. I mean, you have your opinions aren't quite as strong as mine. You did seem a little more indifferent, but I think you definitely have some good thoughts on this.
Yeah. You and I were talking about this before we hit the record button, and maybe it's just age, but certain things that used to get me a little more hot under the collar don't quite anymore.
Right.
I will say I do agree with him on some of the cons. I get that, especially for newer players, it might be a feature that actually detracts from the gameplay. I get that. But again, when it comes to things like the bots, right? For certain players, yes, it might detract from certain things, but for a lot of players, especially the hardcore ones who want to push everything to the limits, this research queue is really, really handy, especially for things like speedruns.
Right.
You go in there, you queue it up, because whenever you're in this GUI trying to select your research, you're not laying factories down. You're not running belts. So this, something like this could shave an extra minute or two off of a world record speedrun.
Right.
So for every con that he has on there, I would say that there's some pros for certain people. One thought I had was, you were reading through the cons and pros, is what if this was a research item,
so that you people could research the ability to do it.
Yeah. So you would see it and you'd be like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want to take away from my experience or whatever, or I definitely want that. So I'm gonna take put time into that research.
Right, and I mean, a lot of people suggested that, and I think that would be a really great option. Or alternatively, making it a game option you can turn on and off that's just off by default. Like there's already an option in the settings to turn on and off the like pop-up window when the research finishes. I mean, like, why not do that with
an additional option to that? Yeah.
Either one, I think, would be great, rather than just taking it out. And this is what gets me fired up. Personally, I don't really care about a research queue. It would be great. Like, if I had it, I'd totally use it. I'm not really that upset about the fact there's no queue, per se.
Right, especially because we haven't had one up until now, right? Unless you went to a mod.
Exactly. What I'm upset about is the two things mainly. One is this is the same thing again with him basically, or a couple devs deciding that they don't like how something works, so they're pretty much just saying, well, we don't like playing this way, so you don't get to play this way either. Right? And it's like, come on. I mean, yes, obviously it's your game. I mean, do whatever you want, but like, that's pretty much what they're saying, is they're just like, well, we didn't like the way it played, so we're just taking it out. Like, screw, who cares about the 1.5 million people who bought the game? We don't like playing with it, so you don't get to play with it either.
Right.
And second is it's like, this wasn't like, they've seriously teased this, and as it even shows here, it was planned and implemented. Like, this isn't something before where they were just like, well, we're considering doing this, but we have to see how it plays out and stuff, so it's a maybe. They were like, we're implementing this, it's gonna be awesome. They showed us how it worked, and then now they're like, oh, well, in hindsight, now that we actually think about it and play it, we've decided to just renege on all of that and take it out. And it's like, sure, this is early access, but that isn't really a good excuse, because even in early access, it's like, if you say you're gonna do something, usually they follow through with it. I don't know.
Obviously they did all of the sprite work on it too. As you can see, the green, the yellow icons turning green on that laboratory. So clearly they've done a lot of the work there. They have the red X under it to delete stuff out of the queue. So yeah, it was like, sure seems like a last minute decision.
Right. And like, I think that it speaks for itself that the mod, there's a research queue mod, and there's an auto research mod too, I think. But the research queue mod has like 60,000 downloads. I think that speaks for itself that it's a feature that is very highly enjoyed and wanted. And I'm sure you can
just look at the RSO mod, right? Years ago, everyone downloaded the RSO mod.
Well, and now,
and they ended up implementing like 80 to 90% of those features into the game, and it never felt, after that, it never felt like Factorio, you had to play with RSO mod after that, right? Because you were given the tools to tweak things to your liking.
Right.
And like you said, 60,000 downloads, clearly a lot of people like this.
Right. And it's like, then I know there's going to be people who are just like, well, then why don't you just use the mod? Well, again, for me, it's not about the fact there's a queue or not a queue. It's the things I mentioned. And then also, it's like, sure, why not just use a mod? But for something like this, when they have specifically said that they are at a stage when they want to polish the game and like add quality of life features, it would seem to me that this is one you would want in. And like, the thing is, they're only looking at this for new players. And I had just thought of this when you were talking. It's like, making decisions like this, where it's pretty much taking it out is only beneficial for new players and pretty much hurts everybody else, like who has played more than like 2 runs. This makes it so your player base doesn't stick around as long, right?
Right.
Having the option to either research the ability to do this, like you said, or toggle it, is a win-win for both. But taking out completely, it's like, sure, it's not as confusing for new players. Maybe they get some satisfaction by clicking things, so on and so forth. But after you've played 2 or 3 times, I can pretty much guarantee you every single person I have talked to, and I have read pages of comments on the forums and on Reddit, pretty much everyone who's played more than a couple times says they literally don't care. Like, and this includes me, and maybe you, they get no joy, no satisfaction whatsoever from having the window pop up and then selecting a new thing. In fact, a lot of people say they don't even care what they research. They just click something to get it out of the way and make their labs do something.
How many times I have,
And it's
There's
like,
so
so
many
all
Let's
these
Plays out
cons,
there. It's like, what am I going to click? I'll just click something and go and move on.
yeah. So all these consi lists are completely invalid for anyone who has played more than like 2, maybe 3 times. So it's like, new players are important. I'm not saying they're not, but taking this out entirely means that you're maybe helping new players, but you're like screwing over players who want to be in it for the longer run. So you're basically just shortening the amount of time people are going to playing a game, because you're not giving as much support for the people who are actually in it for the long haul and such. And it's like, I don't know, it's just well. And another thing, and I've been on this forever, but it's been what, like 6 months since 016 came out or something. If I'm gonna wait, and this is, I don't even think 17 is like super close, so let's just say 8 months. If I'm gonna wait 8 months for a release, I really don't want one of the major features taken out of it. If anything, I want surprise features added in. Like, I mean, come on, dude. Like, the development, we all know that's like glacier paced, but 6 months into this, and we're notified that one of the features that most people are looking forward to is gone. It's like, I mean, like, come on. I mean, this is how you get people to just completely lose interest. I mean, there were a few key features with 17 that were like kind of interesting to me. And it's like, if you just start taking these out, and plus the fact that you've, played the same thing for 6 months and it's getting stale, and you just take out these major features, it's like, I don't know. It just seems, seems like a really bad decision.
Yeah, if you have too many dings, then people will start looking elsewhere.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like, I mean, I don't know. I can't really, that's my thoughts on it. I really hope that they look at the community feedback, and let me tell you, community feedback is pretty strong. Like, I'd say it's a good like 80-90% of people in favor of having this in some form.
Yep. And like I said before we started recording, they have listened to feedback in the past. And I think that's what's awesome about the devs is, we have been able to sway them on certain things. We've been able to use either logic or passion or whatever. Like, we used logic with the loaders. Remember that from a year or two ago? Yeah. It just didn't make sense, right? And then it put them back to the drawing table, and they came up with stack inserters, which I think was the perfect solution. I think almost everybody agrees with that. And then with the bots, they tabled that. It may crop its ugly head up again at some point, but at least for now, the player base won that battle, and so hopefully we'll win this battle too. I will say though, there's a fine line here, because Woob is one of those developers that gives us content every week, right? We know that they're very vocal, and a lot of developers it's a complete black box. We have no idea what they're working on, and then they just show up, they drop something, and then they disappear into the void. And it can be very frustrating for other games, for players who just want any information at all. And so, it's really awesome that Woob gives us this sort of information. And unfortunately, sometimes that comes back to bite them, because they might have something like, I've done this in books, right? There's that phrase, kill your darlings. I think most people have heard of that phrase. You have something that you think is just so awesome and so well done, and then you give it to a beta reader, and they're like, this person just doesn't work for me. And at the last minute before you hit publish, and I've done this on my books, you might have to rip out a subplot or a character or something that you just love. Right. But you need to do it for the health of the story. So I hope that when they make decisions like this, that it's for the health of the thing, that they genuinely think this is the best way to go, and not just like some arbitrary like, oh well, I personally don't like it, so I'm going to rip it out. But player feedback, like beta reader feedback for books, is important, because you need to get your customers' opinions and weigh those against your own, because sometimes you might change something about a character that you don't necessarily agree with, but because you know that it's going to please your customers, your readers and your customers, you do that change. And so, hopefully that's the situation we're in here.
Yeah, I hope so too. I guess like a little thing to add on to that is this is why I think it would be super absurd for them to not add it in some form, whether you research it or it's toggleable, because they can do that. With like in your example, which is a perfect example for this, you can't really make like a plot or a character toggleable or optional. I mean, it's either in the book or it's not, right?
Right.
So in this situation, you can. So given the fact that they do have the ability to do this, if they choose not to, my opinion is gonna fall kind of hard because of them. Because it's like you have the option to do so, and if you're not even allowing players the free will to choose whether they want to use it or not, when you've already implemented, I mean, it says it's already implemented. Like literally, it would probably take 5 minutes to just make it a research, and then it's entirely up to people if they want to use it or not. It's like, if you don't even do that, then I don't even know what to say, because I mean, like, come on. So yeah, there's that. Leave your thoughts on that. Like I said, go to the forums. The forum discussion is always linked at the bottom. Go to the Reddit thread. I know devs read that because they comment in it. And if you have a strong opinion on this, leave it there. Because
definitely voice your opinion. Yep.
Yeah, it's really important. So Mod Portal features 2.
Oh, there's something else to talk about?
Oh, there is. It's minor comparatively. I mean, it's cool. Maybe it's not minor. It is cool. It's good news. There's now a new trending section where you can browse fresh mods that have been seen a surge in downloads recently. The exact algorithm, secret sauce, of course. So yeah, you can do trending, which is awesome. While browsing and searching for mods, you can now filter by game version. That is actually huge, being able to do this. The mod portal gives each mod its own little discussion section. This is like not before these implementations. However, rather than being a convenient place for mod authors to communicate with their fans, this could be a source of annoyance, as some mods have other avenues from threads, GitHub, etc., and the mod portal had to be checked separately. This has now been alleviated with the new notification system. Mod authors are automatically subscribed to their mods discussions, and posters can subscribe to the threads they create or reply to. Email notifications are off by default, but there's nothing easier than enabling them. To further make the discussions more usable, mod authors and collaborators now have more moderation tools at their hands. They can lock and trash threads, as well as change their titles and category.
I like that idea.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll be shifting my focus from the mod portal for now, but feel free to post feedback and features and requests in the mod portal section on the forums. As always, pitchforks and flaming torches can be found over on our forum.
Oh, they knew exactly what they were doing when they wrote this.
Yeah.
They knew this was going to upset a lot of people.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I did want to show, there's one interesting comment from the Reddit thread in regards to this. Is one person says, oof, this is about the your research queue going away. This is a rehold to my confidence in any kind of significant UX change if we can't get past the need for pausing the game and throwing a dialogue in the user's face to inform them that they've unlocked laser technology. The newly unlocked recipes might be overlooked. It is solvable by some kind of pop-up, but it is far from... so that's a quote. The exact same analysis is available to your factory making items while you were doing something else. Oh, I didn't realize it made those items. I sure wish the game paused and told me so I could utilize them. So yeah, that's basically saying that, kind of equivalent to, the game pausing every time your factory makes an item.
Mm-hmm.
And then he quotes a part about one of the cons Corex listed of it removes the joy of looking at the result of the research and stuff, and that it adds to the feeling of just going through a to-do list. And the guy says some of these changes are going to reveal deeper game problems, like that you're not really waiting to use a lot of the research along the way. Yeah, it's a to-do list towards the stuff at the end of the queue that you want. And then, yeah, so I mean, pretty much I read this just for the first point that, yeah, I mean, right now, I think the research thing it's not perfect because, I mean, like he said, it basically pauses the game and throws a dialogue in your face every single time it finishes and that is toggleable, which
Mhm.
helps. But like I said, pretty much after the first couple runs,
Yeah.
you really don't care. Like, I mean,
Yeah, and I like how he put it, that it's almost like it's revealing more underlying problems. And I think that one of the big complaints I always had with previous versions of Factorio is there was a very soggy middle, right? You would get into green research,
mhm.
green science, and you could just basically pump that stuff out way faster than you could lay down your factory to actually build stuff.
Oh yeah.
And that was an inherent problem with the balance, right? You really should be able to, ideally, in a perfect world, which is very, very difficult to do, you'd be able to, your research would basically happen about the same time that your factory was getting built.
Right.
It would take you as long to build up that section of the factory after you did the research for the next one to happen. And
Mhm.
like you said, when you start queuing them up, maybe that starts making you realize, oh, the game's not balanced well enough because, again, the research is just pumping through faster than I can ever possibly use it. So it's showing an underlying issue with the balance, or the pacing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the research in general leaves a lot to be desired, but
Hmm.
um, yeah. So we'll see. Like you said, hopefully they consider the overwhelming community thoughts and feedback, and make a decision here on what to do. I mean, again, there always is the mod. I don't think you should need a mod for this, but we'll see what happens.
Yep.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, leave your thoughts below. We're always interested on the forums, in the Reddit, and I think that's going to do it. Do you have anything else?
Nope, nothing else.
All right. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time.